The rain hammered Detroit like a fist on a tin roof. Detective Hooper leaned against the grimy window of his fourth-floor precinct office, watching water sheet down the glass, blurring the neon smear of the city below. His phone buzzed, sharp against the drumming rain. He didn't recognise the number. Hooper, a voice digitally distorted, scraped against his ear. She's gone, like smoke. You find her, detective, or she stays gone. The line went dead. Hooper stared at the phone. Another missing person report? He scrolled through the day's alerts on his terminal. Nothing fresh. Then his email pinged. A new message, sender unknown. Subject line, first note. The attachment was a scanned image of a handwritten page, dense with symbols. Circles crossed by arrows, numbers arranged in grids, fragments of Greek letters intertwined with musical notation. It looked like the frantic scribbles of a madman, or a code. Hooper's knuckles whitened on the edge of his desk. This wasn't just a missing woman, this was a game, and the clock was ticking. He knew the victim's name before the official report landed on his desk an hour later. Eleanor Vance, 42, librarian, vanished walking home from work near Eastern Market yesterday evening. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, just gone. Her husband, red-eyed and trembling, confirmed she hadn't come home. The rain had washed away any useful trace evidence. Hooper started where he always did, the victim. Eleanor Vance's apartment smelled of old paper and lavender. Tidy, ordered. Her husband, Mark, a quiet man with engineer's hands, showed Hooper her study. Bookshelves groaned under the weight of obscure texts, cryptography, medieval history and folklore. She loved puzzles, Mark whispered, handing Hooper a small leather-bound journal. Kept this. Said it helped her think. The journal was filled with similar symbols to the email. Hooper's pulse quickened. This wasn't random. Eleanor knew codes. Someone used her own language against her. Back at the precinct, Hooper spread the scanned note and Eleanor's journal side by side. He worked through the night, coffee cold, eyes gritty. The symbols weren't pure gibberish. Patterns emerged. The circles represented locations on a map. Eastern Market, Belle Isle, the old train depot. The numbers were times. The Greek letters, names. Another email arrived at dawn. Subject, second note. This one contained a blurred photograph. Eleanor's distinctive turquoise scarf caught on a rusted chain link fence near the derelict Michigan Central Station. Hooper was there within 20 minutes. The scarf was gone, but the fence bore fresh scratches. Nearby, half buried in mud, lay a cheap plastic compass, its needle snapped off, pointing north, towards the river. The clues led Hooper deeper into Detroit's decaying heart. A sequence of numbers scratched onto a warehouse wall led him to a specific page in a specific book, left in a forgotten bus shelter, a volume on Celtic knotwork. The knots corresponded to subway lines. At the abandoned Woodward Avenue station, beneath a crumbling advertisement, he found a locker key taped behind peeling paint. The locker, in a grimy depot near the riverfront, contained Eleanor's library ID card and another coded message etched into its plastic surface. This one was more complex, layered. It referenced Norse mythology, specifically the binding of Fenrir. Hooper spent hours cross-referencing. Fenrir bound by a magical ribbon, Glenpeer. The clue pointed not to a place, but a method of restraint. The pattern emerged. The kidnapper wasn't just hiding Eleanor, he was showcasing her knowledge, forcing Hooper to solve puzzles only she could have created or understood. Was she helping? Was she bait? The third email came with a chilling attachment, a 10-second audio clip, Eleanor's voice strained but clear. He thinks he's Loki, playing tricks. The bridge, the broken saint. Static swallowed the rest. Broken saint. Hooper racked his brain. Detroit law. The statue of St. Anne near the Ambassador Bridge. Damaged in a storm years ago, one hand missing. He raced there, beneath the statue's plinth, tucked into a crevice where the missing hand should have been, was a small USB device. On it, a single video file, grainy footage dimly lit. Eleanor, bound to a metal chair in a concrete room, duct tape over her mouth. Behind her, blurred out but visible, stood a figure meticulously arranging strange, intricate symbols drawn in chalk on the floor around her, symbols mirroring those from the notes. The figure turned slightly towards the camera, face obscured by a hood, but Hooper froze. On the wrist, catching the weak light, a distinctive tattoo. A serpent coiled around an anvil. Hooper knew that tattoo, knew it intimately. It belonged to Silas Thorne. Thorne, brilliant but unstable. A former university colleague of Eleanor's, obsessed with ritualistic symbology and game theory. Hooper had investigated him years prior, harassing another professor, but nothing stuck. Thorne vanished off the grid, until now. The final clue wasn't emailed. It arrived in Hooper's battered mailbox at the precinct. A single folded origami raven, crafted from thick, expensive paper. Unfolded, it revealed a meticulously drawn map of the Detroit River waterfront, pinpointing a specific condemned warehouse near the old Fisher body plant. Scrawled beneath, "Come alone, finish the game." Hooper didn't call for backup. Thorne would be watching. He went armed, but more importantly, he went prepared. He understood Thorne's motive now. Not just kidnapping. It was a test, a grand, twisted performance to prove his intellectual superiority, using Eleanor as the prize and Hooper as the opponent. Thorne wanted validation. The warehouse was just cavernous, echoing with the drip of water and the groan of decaying metal. Dust motes danced in shafts of light, piercing the broken roof. In the centre, under a hanging work lamp, Eleanor sat bound to the metal chair, just like in the video. Her eyes widened when she saw Hooper, relief warring with terror. Silas Thorne stepped from the shadows. Tall, gaunt, his eyes burned with feverish intensity. The serpent and anvil tattoo carved vividly on his exposed forearm. He held a small, antique-looking pistol loosely at his side. "Detective Hooper." Thorne's voice was surprisingly smooth, almost conversational. "You solved the labyrinth. Admirable. Faster than I anticipated." "Game's over, Thorne," Hooper said, his voice flat, his eyes scanning the room. Thorne had drawn the same complex chalk symbols on the concrete floor, encircling Eleanor's chair. Ritualistic. Insane. "Let her go," Thorne chuckled, a dry, rasping sound. "Over? No. This is the finale, the ultimate proof. You see, Eleanor," he gestured towards her with the pistol. She understood the beauty of the puzzle, the beauty of the game. Unlike the fools at the university, she appreciated my work, until she tried to stop me. Eleanor made a muffled sound against the tape. "You sent the clues," Hooper stated, keeping Thorne talking, inching subtly forward, using Eleanor's own journal as a cipher key. "Clever, but predictable." "Predictable?" Thorne's smile vanished, replaced by a flash of petulant anger. You brute forced your way through elegance. You didn't appreciate the artistry." "That's why you did it," Hooper countered, his tone deliberately dismissive. "Because nobody appreciated your little drawings? Kidnapping a woman? That's your grand statement?" Thorne flinched. Hooper had hit the raw nerve, the fragile ego beneath the intellectual posturing. "She was going to expose me," Thorne spat. "My magnum opus, the grand unification of historical cipher systems. She called it childish." His knuckles whitened on the pistol grip. Hooper saw his opening. Thorne's focus was entirely on him, consumed by wounded pride. Hooper's hand, hidden behind his back, closed around the small, powerful magnet he'd brought, a hunch based on Thorne's obsession with metallic symbols and the broken compass. Childish, Hooper scoffed loudly. Looks like scribbles on the floor to me. Silas. Looks like the work of a scared little boy who couldn't handle being told no. With a roar of incoherent rage, Thorne raised the pistol. At the same moment, Hooper hurled the magnet not at Thorne, but towards the intricate chalk circle closest to Eleanor's chair. The magnet struck the concrete near the symbol, incorporating iron filings Thorne had carefully sprinkled. The effect was instantaneous. The filings leaped towards the magnet, disrupting the precise pattern Thorne had drawn. To Hooper, it was just a distraction. To Thorne, steeped in his own ritualistic madness, it was a sacrilege, a violation of his sacred design. Thorne's head snapped towards the disrupted symbol, his face a mask of horrified disbelief. No, Hooper moved. He lunged not directly at Thorne, but towards Eleanor's chair, using his body as a shield. Thorne fired. The shot cracked, deafening the enclosed space. Hooper felt the searing punch behind his shoulder, spinning him. He crashed into Eleanor's chair, knocking it sideways just as Thorne fired again. The second shot sparked off the metal frame, where Eleanor's head had been a split second before. Dazed, pain blooming in his shoulder, Hooper rolled, drawing his own service weapon. Thorne was frantically trying to realign his disrupted symbols, momentarily forgetting the gunfight, consumed by his ruined ritual. Freeze, Thorne, Hooper barked. Aiming centre mass, blood soaking his jacket sleeve. Thorne looked up, his eyes wild, seeing only the desecrated circle. He raised his pistol again, not towards Hooper, but towards his own temple, his face twisted in despair. Ruined, all ruined. Don't, Hooper yelled. The shot echoed. Thorne crumpled into the dusty concrete floor, his grand game ended by his own hand amidst the shattered remnants of his obsession. Silence descended, broken only by Hooper's ragged breathing and Eleanor's frantic, muffled whimpers. Hooper holstered his weapon, ignoring the fiery pain in his shoulder. He stumbled to Eleanor, ripped the duct tape from her mouth, and began working on the ropes binding her wrists. "It's okay," he rasped, his voice thick. "It's over." Eleanor gasped for air, tears streaking through the grime on her face. She looked at Thorne's still form, then back at Hooper. Her eyes filled with a profound, weary horror. He wanted an audience," she whispered hoarsely. "Someone to witness his genius." Hooper got the last rope loose. Eleanor slumped forward, trembling. He caught her, supporting her weight. Outside, faintly, the rising wail of sirens approached. "Back up," he discreetly called before entering, giving them just enough time. He looked down at Thorne. The serpent and anvil tattoo seemed grotesque now, meaningless. Not a symbol of power, but a profound destructive emptiness. Hooper pulled Eleanor closer, shielding her from the sight, and walked her towards the broken light of the warehouse door. The rain had stopped. The city awaited, dirty, resilient, indifferent to the twisted games played in its shadows. The case was closed. The cost, Hooper knew, etched into Eleanor's face and throbbing in his shoulder, was just another scar the city would absorb.